The pot shattered. Clay exploded against the stone floor, and the sharp sound echoed across the empty courtyard like thunder. A man cried out as hot soup splashed over his feet. Another man lunged forward, fists raised, accusing, shouting. Within seconds, a simple accident became a fight. "Watch where you're going. You pushed me. You liar." Blows followed words. Words followed anger. And soon, the entire village was screaming. Above them, unseen, the gods watched. High in the sky where clouds slept like mountains, the gods sat in silence, their faces carved from light and fire. Below, the world spun in confusion. Kings ruling without foresight, elders arguing without sense, children inheriting chaos they did not understand. "Look at them," one god said, his voice heavy with disappointment. "They fight over broken pots and spilled soup." "They are not ready," another replied. "Give them wisdom, and they will turn it into weapons." And so it had always been. Wisdom did not live among humans. It did not walk the earth or sit in councils. Wisdom belonged to the gods alone, sealed inside a sacred clay vessel and kept in the heavens, far from mortal hands. Without it, the world stumbled forward blindly. And yet, among the many foolish beings below, one creature watched quietly. The tortoise. He was small, low to the ground, his shell scarred and cracked from years of slow living. While others boasted, he listened. While others rushed, he waited. And as the gods argued above, the tortoise smiled to himself. "So," he murmured, "wisdom is locked away." The gods decided to speak. Their voices rolled across the sky and poured into the world like rain. "Creatures of the earth," they proclaimed, "wisdom has been withheld because you lack restraint. But we will test you. Any creature who proves worthy may attempt to claim wisdom for the world." The land trembled with excitement. The lion roared first. "Wisdom belongs to kings. Who rules better than I?" The elephant stamped his foot. "I remember generations. Wisdom grows with age." The eagle spread his wings wide. "I see what others cannot. I should carry it." Laughter followed. Then mockery. "And you?" The hyena laughed, turning to the tortoise. "What will you do? Crawl wisdom into the world?" The tortoise said nothing. He only blinked slowly. That silence unsettled the gods. Days later, the trials began. The first was the trial of patience. The gods placed a golden fruit at the center of a clearing and commanded the creatures to wait until sunset before touching it. The lion paced. The elephant groaned. The eagle circled restlessly. The tortoise sat. Hours passed. The lion snapped. "Why wait? We are hungry." He seized the fruit. Lightning struck him down. The elephant tried next, arguing with the sky itself. "I have waited long enough in life." Thunder answered him. The tortoise did not move. When the sun finally dipped below the horizon, the gods spoke softly. "You may take it." The tortoise walked forward and picked up the fruit. Whispers followed. The second trial was the trial of humility. Each creature was asked to admit a flaw before the gods. The eagle said, "I see far, but sometimes miss what is close." The gods frowned. "That is not humility. That is pride in disguise." The elephant said, "I am strong, but sometimes forget my strength." Again, the gods shook their heads. When it was the tortoise's turn, he bowed low. "I am slow. I am overlooked. I survive because others underestimate me." The gods exchanged glances. The third trial was the trial of truth. Each creature was asked why they wanted wisdom. "To rule better," said the lion. "To guide others," said the elephant. "To soar higher," said the eagle. When the tortoise spoke, his voice was quiet. "I want wisdom because the world is suffering." A lie, but it was wrapped in truth enough to pass. The gods deliberated long into the night. "He is clever," one god said. "Too clever," another replied. Still, rules were rules. At dawn, the gods lowered the sacred vessel from the sky. It glowed faintly, humming with power older than memory. "Take it," they told the tortoise. "But know this, wisdom is heavy. It reveals who you truly are." The tortoise bowed deeply, his heart racing. As the vessel touched his shell, he felt it. Voices, thoughts, truths pressing against his mind. He nearly cried out. "Careful," one god warned. "Share it freely." "I will," the tortoise said. Another lie. As he descended toward the earth, the weight increased. His legs shook. Sweat soaked his skin. Below him, animals followed, suspicious. "Why is he slowing?" the hyena whispered. Because wisdom knows greed, the eagle answered. The tortoise clenched his jaw. I don't need help, he muttered. A voice echoed in his head. Asterisk, wisdom grows when shared. Asterisk. Quiet, he snapped, shifting the vessel higher on his shell. The ground rushed up. His foot slipped. The world held its breath. The vessel fell. It shattered. Light exploded across the land, fragments of wisdom scattering like seeds. Some lodged in human hearts. Others vanished into rivers, forests, and time. The tortoise crashed hard, his shell cracking open with a sound like fate breaking. He screamed. Silence followed. Above, the gods watched. They did not rage. They did not undo what was done. Let it be, one god said. Wisdom will never belong to one again. The tortoise lay broken, surrounded by a world forever changed. And far below, humans blinked, suddenly knowing a little more than before. The tortoise did not die. He wished he had. Pain burned through his body as he lay on the cracked earth. His shell split into jagged lines that would never smooth again. Every breath felt borrowed. Around him, the world stirred, quiet at first, then alive with murmurs. People were changing. A woman in the nearby village stopped mid-argument, her mouth still open, her eyes suddenly distant. She lowered her voice and said, slowly, Wait, maybe we should listen to each other. A hunter paused before throwing his spear, realizing the animal before him was protecting its young. He turned away, confused by his own mercy. Elsewhere, a man smiled as an idea sparked in his mind. How to cheat his neighbor more cleverly. Wisdom had scattered unevenly. The tortoise felt it all. He felt the fragments settling into minds, bending hearts, sharpening thoughts. Some pieces were gentle. Others were sharp. This was not how it was meant to be, he whispered. A shadow fell over him. The eagle landed first, wings folding tight. You promised to share, the eagle said, not angrily, but with disappointment. The elephant approached next, his eyes heavy. You could have asked for help. The hyena laughed, but there was fear in his voice. Look at him, clever to the end. The tortoise tried to speak, but blood filled his mouth. He managed only one word. Mine. Above them, the sky darkened. The gods descended. They did not come with thunder or fire this time. They came quietly, like judges who had already heard enough. The creatures bowed. Humans fell to their knees without knowing why. The tortoise lifted his head with great effort. Punish me, he croaked. Take it back. One god knelt beside him. Take what back? The wisdom, the tortoise said. It was a mistake. The god's eyes were calm, almost sad. No, the mistake was thinking wisdom could belong to one. Another god spoke. You stole what was never meant to be owned. The tortoise laughed weakly. Then I am like you. The gods did not deny it. They stood and addressed the world. From this day, one declared, no single being shall ever hold all wisdom again. It will live in pieces, in questions, in doubt, in learning. Another added, those who seek it selfishly will break under its weight. The final god looked down at the tortoise. And you will live as a reminder. The gods rose back into the sky, leaving silence behind. The animals dispersed slowly, each carrying a thought they had never had before. Humans returned to their lives, some building, some destroying, all believing they were right. The tortoise was left alone. Days passed. Villagers came to stare at him. Some mocked his cracked shell. Children poked him with sticks. One child asked, Why is your back broken? The tortoise closed his eyes. Because I tried to carry too much. Were you bad? The child asked. The tortoise thought for a long time. I was clever without being kind. The child nodded, not fully understanding, but feeling the weight of the answer. Years turned into generations. Stories spread. They said the tortoise once climbed to the sky. They said he tricked the gods. They said wisdom shattered because of greed. They said that was why no one ever seemed completely right. And the tortoise lived on, slow and quiet, listening more than he spoke. Sometimes, when elders argued too fiercely, he would clear his throat and say, Have you considered you might be wrong? Sometimes, when a king demanded obedience, the tortoise would ask, And who taught you to rule? Often, he was ignored. That was his punishment. One evening, as the sun bled into the horizon, the tortoise sat by a river. His reflection stared back at him, scarred, small, unchanged. A young man approached and knelt. They say you stole wisdom, he said. Was it worth it? The tortoise watched the ripples distort his image. Wisdom itself? Yes. And the price? The tortoise sighed. No. The young man frowned. Then why tell the story? So you don't repeat it, the tortoise replied. Or if you do, you'll know what breaks. The young man stood and walked away, thinking. The tortoise smiled faintly. High above, the gods watched again. Do you regret it? One asked. Another shook his head. No. The world learns better this way. Below, humans continued. Wise enough to question, flawed enough to fail, forever reaching for pieces they could never fully hold. And so the story lived on. Not as a warning, but as a mirror. If you enjoyed this story, like the video to help it reach others. Subscribe to Talevora TV for more timeless tales that reveal the truth hidden in myths. And tell us in the comments, was the tortoise a villain, or just the most human of them all?